Right, so you guys are having a phenomenal day. If not, do understand and get is going to get better once your perception gets better. So I pretty much wanted to do a video about it will come to you once you let go. So a lot of times in life, we are attached to outcome, right? For instance, these past few days, I just been woo. So a lot of you guys know I had recently got into consumer law, and it is different. Okay. So pretty much consumer law, it teaches you, it protects the consumer from getting, ripped off from these corporations, businesses, and things of that nature. Okay. So, I've been I've been studying consumer law, right? And so yesterday I had filled out an application and I told you guys, okay, I'm a document like the whole journey process, okay? Because I know it's other people who probably, they hear people talking about consumer law and stuff like that, and you may feel like, oh well, is simple, okay? One of the things I am going to say, I am not a lawyer, okay, and I'm not giving no legal advice out, okay? This is entertainment purposes only. Okay. So this has started, I told you guys, when I was doing Uber, I had met a passenger who pretty much talked to me about Black Law Dictionary. Okay. So if you guys don't know what Black Law Dictionary is, it's pretty much, is your rights. Okay. When it comes to traffic tickets, driving, anything of that sort, anything pertaining to law. And I'm quite sure it goes more in depth for other things too, but that's mainly what I know. I don't have the Black Law Dictionary, but Amani, I'm doing a video. But from my understanding, okay, it protects the consumer, okay? And you and I are consumers. We are the consumer. So that's how pretty much it was like the introduction to, consumer law. Back then, I just, when the lady said it, she was telling me about it, I just was like, all right, whatever. And then I deleted her. Okay. And then later on, okay, this information came to me again. Okay. And so it's a guy on Instagram named Manta, who pretty much talks about consumer law. He breaks it down. From my understanding, he says he don't pay any bills, and is people who have gotten remedy, okay, meaning that they don't pay bills neither, using the US codes. And it's not only that, okay, because some people may be like, well, that's easy, why other people not doing it? Well, you may have to take the corporations to court, okay? So when they deny you credit or deny you anything of that sort, right, you will have to take the corporations to court, okay? So I think when it comes to court, I think a lot of people probably most likely fear that aspect of it. And one of the reasons it can be is because you don't know how this whole thing is going to play out when you get to court, or maybe you don't know like your rights. And that's why it's important to study. Okay. So, last week I had actually the 17th, October the 17th, I had filled out an application for JP Morgan, Bank, for credit. Okay. Now, I got denied. Okay. And so I spoke to them. And then they said that the application was being re-reviewed or whatever. And so, I waited, and then I called them back yesterday because I said, if it was an adverse action, which adverse action is pretty much denial, okay, denial of credit. And what's so crazy is your form. Come on, drink that tea. You gotta start blow your tea, cause it's still hot, Armani. Blow it. You want to drink some water? Huh? All right, get some water. Okay, so adverse action is actually against the law, okay, according to um Consumer Federal Protection Bureau. Okay. And is actually against the law on if you go to CFPB, it is show you like, you are protected and you're not supposed to be denied because the credits that the corporations like these banks are supposedly giving you is actually from your own trust, okay, is actually from your own account that's at the Federal Reserve. So anywho, so I contacted Chase yesterday, and I don't know how many customer service reps that I spoke to because I was telling them, that they are violating Truth in Lending, and also according to CFPB that they are denying me like pretty much my own credit and stuff, and so the people that I spoke to, they kept saying, "Well, we're gonna have to transfer you." One lady even was like that, since I'm saying they discriminate and like she couldn't like speak to me, she had to transfer me to a different department. And she said that department opens at 11 o'clock. So it was like 10, probably like 10:58. And she was like, they'll give you a call. So I waited for them to call me. They never did. So I wound up calling them back. And the guy who I spoke to, I was transferred two additional times. But finally, the guy who I spoke to, and it was so crazy because normally when you apply for credit, right, and you want to dispute like the decision that they made, you will normally be they normally transfer you to the lending team. Okay, the lending team is the ones I guess that makes the decisions and stuff like that on behalf of the application, and what you tell them. So the guy that I spoke to, he was asking me like the questions that was on my credit report, and you're not supposed to be denied no matter. Now, I'm not saying that they are not going to deny you. I'm not saying that because they still will deny you, even though it's against the law to be denied, but the corporations, they still would deny you. So um after that, the guy, I'm speaking to him and stuff like that. So he's going over my credit report. And one of the things I asked him, I said, because he was asking me like my income, what I put on the application. And I said, what does this have to do with anything? One thing doesn't have nothing to do with the other. And I pretty much was like, that if any of those things if you saying like, oh well, because of X, Y, and Z, I said this is discrimination. And so he pretty much was like, well, we can't do nothing. No, he said we could reconsider the application. So he reconsidered the application, and then what wound up happening. So when a corporations ask you like, all right, well, do you want us to reconsider? First of all, when the corporation, right, you fill out the application and stuff like that, and you like, it's supposed to be an exchange, right? So you give them the collateral, which is your name, okay, on the application, and your social, which is a form of credit, okay, your social security number. So it's supposed to be like an even exchange. They give you something, you give them something. What you give them is, the collateral, the application, with your name and everything, with everything that's on there. Okay. And so, you're so miserable, honey. Honey, you gotta get your life. Okay. So you give them something, they give you something back, right? And so what wound up happening was a lot of times the corporations, they pretty much say like you was denied, right? And once they say you was denied, you would think that, oh, well, the account is closed, but technically the account is still, in fact, opened. It's still opened, okay? Although they tell you it's closed, but it's still open. And one of the ways, I haven't done it yet, but one of the ways that Mansa, he had talked about, he said, if you have an account with whatever corporation, the banks and stuff like that, you have an account number, you could call a broker and pretty much tell them like, oh, I just want to see how much is being traded on this account. Okay. And you give them the account number and your social, and then they could, let you know how much is being traded on the account. So a lot of times we think like, oh, well, the account is closed, but the account is in fact is still open, even though they told you it was closed. So letting go. Okay. So recently, so after the whole thing with Chase, okay, yesterday, my children, it was Halloween, so I took them trick or treat, and I really wasn't in the mood to do pretty much anything because I was feeling like discouraged. I was feeling like, oh my goodness, like what the hell? They just not budging and stuff like that. And then I had watched a few videos, and I had sent some letters to Equifax and Equifax, and what's the other one? Equifax, I can't think of them. I know it's Equifax, TransUnion, and the third one. Can't think of it. So anyway, so I sent letters to them today. I didn't send the one to TransUnion because it was another document that I was supposed to attach to it. My ID and stuff. No, not my ID. The fraud theft. Okay, because all right, and this is another thing, and I got this from, I think her name is Tamir, or is it Tamir, or is it Tamir Bush? So she talks a lot about consumer law, and oh my goodness, it's so much. Like, we think that identity theft is just pretty much when you lose your wallet and somebody like take on your identity. But family, I'm gonna have to go because my youngest daughter, she coughing and stuff. I'll catch you guys later. Make sure you're rocking out, believing in yourselves. Peace.